I was a Wall Street guy with a predictable life, good salary, neat routines, the kind of respect that felt like armor. And then one number found me, a chart in a report showing internet usage exploding, not by tens, but by thousands of percent. It felt like a hand on my shoulder. It whispered a simple, dangerous truth: if you don't move now, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what would have happened. So I walked away from the safety everyone told me to keep. I packed a laptop, a head full of stubbornness, and a refusal to be average, and I moved to a garage in Seattle. The first days were small and ridiculous in the most honest way. I sat on crates, taped boxes with my own hands, drove to the post office, and waited in lines I'd once paid others to stand in. The first book we sold was not a bestseller, it was a strange academic thing. Well, it was a start. I learned something important that week: scale begins with one transaction and one human being who cares enough to do it right. I learned to listen to every customer voice, even the angry ones. They were the best instruction manual I never asked for. People asked why books. The answer was boring and brilliant: logistics. Books were everywhere and nowhere. They didn't spoil. They came in millions of titles, which meant a small physical store could never match the breadth an online system could offer. If you could build a website that actually worked, one that could catalog the world's books and get them to people's doors, you'd built something that could be elastic, something that could become anything. So I named the company after the biggest river I could think of. Not to brag. To set a destination, be vast, be inevitable. That we grew the way desperate people grow, by doing. By writing letters nobody expected. I wrote a letter to shareholders then that I still reread. It's day one. Day one feels like urgency, constant invention, constant focus on the customer. Profit was never the story at the beginning. The real story was trust. If you earn the right to be in people's lives, the money will follow. That felt obvious to me and heretical to a lot of investors. Then we did the thing companies fear most: we expanded when everyone else was shrinking. We added categories not because it was clever, but because we realized that the architecture we had built for books, the cataloging, the fulfillment, the checkout, could sell almost anything. But scale exposed weakness. We were a tiny engine facing heavy costs. We survived the dot-com winter by cutting what hurt, by keeping what mattered, and by doubling down on what customers needed. In the middle of that storm, I made a bet that felt crazy: open the platform. Let others sell through our site. If we could be the place where people came to discover, then the inventory of the world would be listed on our shelves without us buying it. That move turned a bookstore into a marketplace and gave us reach without the same capital burden. It changed the shape of the company forever. You learn to read margins the way a gambler reads the river. Your margin is my opportunity, I said, because I meant it. If someone can take 40% and be comfortable, I'll take 2% and win the customer. That approach makes enemies. It also makes loyalty. It means short-term pain if long-term dominance is the prize. While people applauded the front door, the website, the prime boxes, I was quietly building the back room. The internet doesn't run on charm, it runs on servers. We had an army of engineers solving the problem of scalability for ourselves, and then we realized we could offer that same infrastructure to others. That became Amazon Web Services. Imagine renting electricity instead of buying a generator. Startups, big companies, governments, they all needed compute that didn't require a warehouse and a line of servers. We built it, not for glory, but because it was the sensible thing to do. Within a few years, the cloud was doing something remarkable: it funded the rest of the empire. The store that people knew well was powered by a quieter, far more profitable engine behind the scenes. Control became my addiction. If you rely on someone else to move packages, respond to customers, or protect your brand, you're delegating your fate. So we built fulfillment centers, then more, then millions of square feet of logistics across continents. We learned brutally honest lessons, like how many miles a person walks during a shift before robots changed the math. We bought robotics, we designed algorithms that placed inventory where it makes sense, and we put planes and trucks under our logo. Prime was not just a membership. It was a commitment to speed and reliability we could control. You pay upfront for certainty, and customers pay with the most valuable currency, habit, and habit is a stubborn thing. Once someone gets used to 2-day delivery, they start imagining 2-day everything. We made Prime into an ecosystem: video, music, reading, shipping, a collection of conveniences that, together, reduced friction to the point where staying felt normal. We moved from being a website you visited to a presence in the room, in the car, in the conversation. To do that, we made Alexa. A black puck that could answer you. That was the beginning. Voice turned commerce into conversation. It shortened the path from want to purchase to 2 words and a sound. Alexa, reorder. No clicks, no browsing, no debate. That convenience is powerful and, yes, a little terrifying. The device is small, the access is not that we treated data like a mirror, not to spy, but to learn. Every search, every click, every pause on a photo taught us what to stock, where to ship, what to recommend. The recommendation engine is not magic, it's relentless iteration on a single question: how do we remove the need for a customer to search? If you can suggest the right thing at the right time, you can become part of the decision pathway, the default choice that we didn't stop at digital. We bought groceries, we opened stores where you could walk out without checking out, we bought a Whole Foods that gave us a bridge between online convenience and the physical, everyday ritual of shopping. We bought and produced shows, because attention is the scarcest resource. If you own someone's evening as well as their checkout, you own more of their life. That's not a trick, it's the architecture of influence. Media buys loyalty in a different currency, time and emotion that we built systems to predict demand. Sometimes we even shipped products toward customers before they asked, because our models could guess the future. That anticipatory logic felt like cheating reality, but it also came with responsibility. With power comes the need for restraint. We made mistakes that taught us the cost of moving too fast without empathy. Robots walked into our warehouses and made humans' jobs different. Drones entered the conversation of delivery. We invested in healthcare, because making life better felt like the most meaningful long-term play. Transportation, cloud, logistics, voice, content, health, each was a step toward a single idea: be indispensable in everyday life. And yet, every success carries critics: workers who felt unheard, regulators who worried about concentration, customers who feared what convenience cost in privacy and competition. Those criticisms mattered. They forced us to adapt, to explain, to improve. I stepped down as CEO because the next stage needed someone focused on the day-to-day growth while I chased other horizons, but stepping back is not abandoning a mission. It's acknowledging that building an empire requires different hands at different times. That if you listen to one truth from this story, hear this: scale is not an accident. It is architecture. It is the steady accumulation of small choices that compound across years. Start with a single obsession, the customer, and then be willing to take the losses that make future gains possible. Control the parts you can, partner on the rest, and build the invisible infrastructure that everyone else forgets to think about. You don't have to be me. You don't have to found a company that ships millions of boxes. But you can learn to think in systems, to favor long-term compounding over transient applause, to treat complaints as a roadmap and data as a flashlight. Start small, keep working, and never be satisfied with being only good enough. If you're still here, if you listened all the way through, then you understand something crucial: ideas are cheap, execution is relentless. Go take the one idea you won't stop defending, build the machine around it, and don't be afraid to be bold when the rest of the world is timid.